Now that we have the tunnel set up, we need to do some routing. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to enable OSPF version 3 at this router. So this router can participate in the global routing table dynamic routing. I am going to inject here a default route for the global routing table. So all the devices will see this particular device as the natural exit point. This will help me in order to communicate my physical local area network with this lab. I want to set up here an automation server. So this default route will help me communicate this automation server with all the devices. Now that is the easy part. We have a more complex routing to do because we are running EIGRP in this part of the network and we are running OSPF version 3 in the other part of the network. So in order to make all these devices communicate with one another, we need to do something that is known as redistribution. We need to redistribute OSPF version 3 routes into EIGRP, and we need to redistribute EIGRP routes into OSPF version 3. So in order to do so, I'm going to configure EIGRP here and EIGRP here. Notice that we are going to do this redistribution at 2 points in the network. When we redistribute routes in this manner, we call that mutual redistribution. And given we are going to do that at 2 points in the network because we need redundancy, we are going to actually be doing 2 points mutual redistribution that can yield into advertising loops between these two routing protocols if we don't take the appropriate measures. So the configuration can become a little bit complex. This configuration is not included in the Encore exam. This is actually included in another certification that is known as NRC. So just rest assured that even though it is a little bit complex, it is not included in the Encore exam. But we need to do this because we have configured different routing protocols in this lab. So let's go and configure that. Okay, let's configure router A1 and router A2. First of all, we are going to configure some route maps that will help me avoid having routing advertising loops between EIGRP and OSPF. So this is one route map, this is another route map. Let's configure that here as well. So I have my route maps in place. Let's configure now EIGRP on both routers. So let's build our EIGRP configuration here. Notice that we are redistributing OSPF routes into EIGRP for the global routing table and for the BRF users. Let's do that at router A2 as well. I think I missed this, the process number for OSPF version 3. Let me fix that. Okay. Now let's configure the redistribution from EIGRP into OSPF. Let's do that at router A2. And now let's include this router in, and let's make it participate into OSPF version 3 for the global routing table. First we enable IPv6, then we enable OSPF version 3. and we enable the tunnel as an interface that is going to participate in OSPF, and we are going to inject the default route into the global routing table. Let's enable OSPF on the other side of the tunnel. So if we should show OSPF version 3 interfaces, we now have this tunnel 0. Show OSPF version 3 neighbors. We have this on tunnel 0. Show IP route. Now we have the default route through this router. And everybody should learn this route. Show IP route. Have that here. Now, at the part of the network where we have EIGRP, we now have external routes. These external routes come from OSPF. And at the part of the network where we have OSPF, we are going to learn some external routes. We need to probably, if we go here to switch 3 and we issue show IP route, we are going to see these OSPF external routes that come from EIGRP. So now we are successfully exchanging routes that come from EIGRP into OSPF and routes that come from OSPF into EIGRP.